Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I think I got it right that time, actually. Welcome back to Formcast. My name is Form. This is episode 127, maybe 128. I'm not entirely sure. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, yes, it's another episode. With that being said, it is June 23rd, and my goodness gracious, I do not know who pissed off Mother Nature, who turned up the heat, or what did what. Global warming is a thing, apparently. It is insanely hot and humid where I live right now. I'm in Northern Ontario and in Canada, for those who don't know, and it is not supposed to be this warm, especially not even in July. We technically just started summer, I think. I'm not entirely sure when the actual day is, but it is disgustingly warm. I went to the gym this morning. The gym is really gross, and their air conditioning didn't really seem to keep up. The floors were all wet. They were trying to, not because of people sweating, but just because of the moisture. I don't know. I felt like I could swim on the main floor in that place. Anyways, with that being said, it's hot, so I decided to come home and cut the grass. I mean, why? I don't know. At the end of the day, the grass is cut. I was sweating a lot. Tomorrow, June 24th, 5 years as a streamer. Yes, that's right. Literally the day I went live on my Xbox One first gen 5 years ago, back in 2020, at the very much so pinnacle of the world global pandemic. We don't like to say its name. It better not come back. With that being said, that's when I started streaming. June 24th, I said, you know what? For a month before that, I found out what Twitch was. I figured out how to stream. What led me to streaming is literally the fact that I was working out in my living room, and I lived in a condo at the time. I was trying to work out in the living room because everything was closed. I worked at the gym. I was laid off because the gym was closed, of course. One of the most, largest cesspools of germs, probably, in terms of sharing with other people. I mean, yes, there's other places you could share germs that are very much more worse than that, but we won't get into that one. So the gym closed. I was laid off for the first time in my life, and I figured out how to stream right from my Xbox. Xbox has the Twitch app in it. You can broadcast directly from your console. I bought 100-foot long Ethernet cables to plug to the modem at the other end of the condo, and at the end of the day, I went live on June 24th, 2020. So tomorrow marks 5 years, and in that time, I've gone all the way up to triple-digit average viewers in COVID from this different types of, I'm not going to get into it, but different types of, I want to say, phases that streaming has gone through in the past 5 years. I've met a lot of different people. Some are still here, some have gone. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've also made a lot of good choices. And I've definitely grown as a person over the last few years. I think COVID was a wild time for many of us, myself included, both physically because I couldn't work out, mentally because that's that. My life has changed drastically since that time over the last 5 years, especially in the last 2.5, 3 years. So with that being said, now I stream continuously. It'll be 3 years this year. Next month, actually, is 3 years that I've done this full time, where I decided to say, see you later, gym, quit the gym, and take the risk of going full time. And I'm really, really happy I did that because I don't think I would be able to live the life I live right now if I never made that choice. I would probably still be at the gym, probably still making minimum wage. And I'm very lucky to have an insane community that continuously wants to support in terms of having that entertainment on a daily basis, allowing me to do what I do, not having to go other jobs, not having to cut stream schedule, not having to reduce my hours because I need to work somewhere else to pay the bills and to take care of my doggo and myself and my family and all that kind of stuff. I'm very grateful, and I'm insanely blessed because I don't think there's a lot of people that can say that they're able to do that unless they are far larger. Because right now I'm averaging maybe 50, 55 folks on a good day, 50, 60 maybe on a really good day. With that being said, I mean, it's a blessing to have that amount of viewers, which seems like a lot to a lot of people. But in the grand scheme of things, it's a very tiny, minute amount when it comes to how people are streaming on Twitch and other platforms nowadays, to hundreds, to thousands, to even sometimes hundreds of thousands of viewers. With that being said, it's all about quality over quantity, and we've talked about that before. So I want to chit chat a little bit about how the fact that it is 5 years and the fact that I started on a console. This is how it went. I started on a console in a living room in a condo. I had my MacBook, my laptop set on a coffee table so I could read chat. So I just had my stream manager open because obviously you can't read chat on console streaming. So I had my laptop open. I had a desk lamp that was a desk lamp that kind of went like an L shape and you could tilt it up and down. So I tilted it straight up facing directly at me. The only thing I bought was I want to say it was $50, maybe $40, $50 at the time. It was hard to find because during COVID, everyone has started working from home, of course. So buying webcams and any computer related stuff, even desks and whatnot, was difficult to find. So I bought a 720p Logitech webcam. I want to say it was a C920 back then. I'm not entirely sure if that's the name, but I bought the webcam and then I eventually started streaming. And that's all I had. So I had my Xbox on the coffee table with the laptop and the camera plugged into that with the lamp directly in my face. It was insanely disgustingly hot in that condo during the summertime. I streamed through it. I was using an old IKEA chair. My back and body were broken sitting in that for 3 to 4 hours. Disgusting. I started streaming 3 nights a week, 9 to 12 p.m. or 12 a.m., sorry, 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. 3 nights a week. That's what my life would allow at the time, even if I was laid off. And I did that. And for a good chunk of time, that's what was the schedule. And then eventually I got back to work. And then I got back off work. They said, we're closing for 2 weeks because the COVID stuff, the pandemic stuff was coming back. And then that 2-week closure, I said, you know what? I'm going to add 2 more days a week, like a full-time schedule. And lucky I did that. Because that 2-week closure that I was off work ended up being 6 months long. And I went through employment insurance difficulties, getting money from them because I was making some money from Twitch at that point. It took me 4 or 5 months to get my first payout. And my first payout from Twitch was $350 maybe. So I was making a little bit of money. You had to claim that. They said, we're not going to pay you. And then just a bunch of nonsense. So my life was all over the place, but I went in deep and I kept streaming and I never strayed from my schedule. A year and a half later, roughly, we hit partner. It's going great. Things go south. I've made some poor mistakes in my life and professionally. We rebound from that. We learn from that. Life changes completely in the last 2.5 years. So I'm going to say almost half of my career so far, which is not long, has been a very much more, not just professional growth in how I stream and how I interact and how I do my thing, but also personally as a person. And a lot of people who have been with me for those 4.5, 5 years so far have literally said, we've seen you go from this to that to this, and you've grown the entire time. Very proud of me. And I, have to share that because not a lot of people that, one, maybe have never met you. Some of them I have, but one, maybe have never met you, want to share that sentiment, and the fact that you have grown and that they are proud of where you've come from and surpassing the mistakes and the obstacles that have been put in your way. So now I stream full time. Now it's 6 days a week. Yeah, that's right. 6 days a week. I only take Mondays off, but on Mondays I'm doing this. I'm recording my podcast. I do a few other things, but I also take the time to just chill, relax, watch a movie, read a book, hang out with my now dog, who's now 8 months, actually 9 months as of today. Happy birthday, Larry. She's under the desk right now, chilling. It's very hot, so I think it's cool down there. But 5 years, and my setup has completely changed. I went from, like I said, a console. I went from a console to, with the TV, to a console and a gaming monitor. That was game-changing for me, okay? And then I went to a first PC because I wanted to do animated, not emotes, but animated alerts. And that every time would happen, my MacBook would start just destroying itself because I started using my laptop to stream instead of my Xbox. So I was using Streamlabs OBS. I wasn't using OBS Studio, which I should have because OBS Studio is easier on your PC. But I was using a MacBook to stream on Streamlabs. It was just, it sounded like a jet fighter pilot trying to take off from a carrier. And it just wasn't working. So I built my first PC, and then I went to a double PC, and now to a dual PC. We got a bunch of monitors, really good cameras. The lighting is the same lighting I've had the entire time, which is actually pretty cool. Not the desk lamp, but I did buy these $30 ring lights, and I got 2 of them, and that's the only thing I use now. So Obviously, updated the mic, the video, all that stuff for a better stream experience and gaming experience for me eventually, of course. But I'm just so, I want to say, flabbergasted. I'm very shocked. I'm very surprised that I've been able to continue doing this, because there have been times where it is so mentally draining and exhausting. And sometimes you do want to take a break. And I've seen people take breaks, and it just seems so difficult to come back from a break. So I've just pushed through those times. I've tried to do things that make myself better in person on camera, but also in person personally in my own life with my family and my friends. So I think we've been able to manage that, and now I'm having the most fun I've ever had in the last couple of years on stream. I do what I want. I am who I am. I do it the way I want to do it. And I actually recently, I just talked about it last podcast episode, but I just recently met a couple more people that I've met on stream, and I met them in person. One of them is a brand new mod of mine, but also someone that's been around for 4.5 years, and another viewer who's been around for 2.5 years. I went to Montreal to visit some family, and that's where they live, and they were kind enough to come to me and hang out, and it was absolutely so much fun, and so delighted to be able to meet people that are literally supporting me on a daily basis. With that being said, 5 years from now, I don't know. I don't know what it looks like. When I think about my job, when I think about the fact that streaming is my full-time thing, I do not do anything else. Are there opportunities to make money somewhere else? Yes, of course. You make commissions on a few things. You could partner up with people. We just recently did a sponsored stream, but I don't have another source of income. I don't have another job. I don't have a side hustle. I don't do cash jobs to replace someone's plumbing. Like, I don't do that kind of stuff. So with this being the entire thing, it's both scary, but absolutely so much fun. I've never been self-employed, but for the last 3 years, roughly 3 years, almost, next month, of course, like I said, I've been able to stay afloat. And some months were very scary, but I've always been good with my money. And I think it's a testament to the fact that you need to make sure you budget, you finance properly, especially when you're self-employed. But the thing with streaming is, if I was self-employed and I sold a service or a product, I could just work harder to try and get more customers and clients to get those jobs and get those items out the door in order to make more money. As a streamer, you have no clue if you're going to stream that day and make $0 or make $1,000. It's very much so possible that anything happens. So I've just put all my faith in a saying that I said a little while ago, but I've begun to care less and have more fun. And it seems that that motto and that kind of mindset has definitely helped me in becoming more successful as the time goes by. With that being said, I'm able to take care of my family. My parents are absolutely super proud of what I do. And when I'm saying, hey, mom, dad, we're going to go to Toronto. We're going to go to a Blue Jays game. Of course, I got my Toronto Blue Jays t-shirt on right now if you're watching this on YouTube. But we're going to go see a Jays game. We're going to go Little Italy in Toronto. We're going to go visit these little shops and do this and do that. Because they never get out just to have fun. They get out to go to doctor's appointments for my dad. They get to go out to bring my grandma somewhere. At the end of the day, they never get to hang out. But this job, this career, this full-time thing of streaming, I don't know how I've gotten here, but it's allowed me to say, hey, don't worry about the money for hotels. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. And that's where I want to put my money and put my blessings, because I can treat myself, but I don't. But if my family's happy, then the whole thing is good. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to put that. So 5 years as of tomorrow. I'm probably going to do, my nephew's graduating, so I have a ceremony to go to in the morning, but I'm probably going to do a long stream and just really hang out, because that's literally what I love to do, is just hang out. People chat the entire stream. We just hang out. Imagine everybody in a room just hanging out and having fun. That's exactly what the stream is right now, and I absolutely love it. So 5 years now, I don't know where, like I said, I'm going to be in 5 years from now. I don't know if streaming is going to be a thing. And I mean, it's changed so much in the last 5 years from when I started to where it is now. There's so many different types of contents. There's different platforms now and all these kind of things. 5 years from now, it could be completely different. But we roll with the punches, we stay flexible, and we keep going forward. So I really appreciate you not thinking, but listening. I also don't really edit these podcasts. I just do it the way I do it. So I won't edit that out. But I thank you for listening. It really means a lot. These don't get a lot of views on YouTube, but we are climbing, and more downloads on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern, they get published. So thank you for listening. I really appreciate that. 5 years tomorrow. Insane. We'll catch you next time, all right? Cheers.